Okay, so picture this. Deep inside Mars's Jezero crater, a rover is basically playing detective. And not too long ago, in July of 2024, it stumbled on a clue. A clue so wild, it could literally rewrite everything we think we know about our planetary neighbor. We're talking about these strange spots on a rock that, well, they might just be the fingerprints of ancient Martian life. So let's get into it. This is a cosmic detective story.
I mean, this is it, right? This is the big one. It's the question that drives every single mission we send to the Red Planet. You could call it the ultimate cold case, and today we're going to look at what might be one of the most compelling pieces of evidence we've ever found.
And here's our lead investigator on the scene, NASA's Perseverance rover. Now, this thing isn't just a fancy remote control car, it's a rolling laboratory. It's our eyes, our hands, and our scientific brain on Mars. And it's packed with tools designed specifically to hunt for clues to answer that exact question.
But to really get why this new discovery is so mind-blowing, we've got to take a step back. Our whole investigation of Mars has been, well, a real roller coaster of hope and letdowns for centuries.
It really all started pretty simply. Back in the 18th century, we saw polar caps that would grow and shrink, just like seasons on Earth. Then things got wild in the late 1800s with reports of canals, which had everyone dreaming of Martian cities. But then, reality check. The 1960s flybys showed us a bleak, cratered, and apparently dead world. The Viking landers in the 70s tried to settle it with actual experiments, but the results, they were just confusing, inconclusive. We were left with more questions than we started with.
And that long, winding history brings us right to today, to a very specific spot in Jezero crater. This is where our modern mystery really begins to unfold.
So, in July of 2024, Perseverance was exploring a place called the Bright Angel Formation. Now, this is an ancient riverbed. Billions of years ago, water carved its way through here. So, if you're looking for signs of a world that was once wet and maybe, just maybe, alive, this is exactly where you'd start digging.
And right there, sitting amongst all that ancient river sediment, the rover found this. It's an arrowhead-shaped rock, about 3 feet long, that the team nicknamed Cheyava Falls. And right away, they knew it was different. It just stood out from everything else around it.
So when you zoom in, you see what makes this rock so special. It is covered in these really weird patterns. You've got these tiny little black dots the team started calling poppy seeds, and then these bigger, splotchy patches they nicknamed leopard spots. Now, this wasn't just random staining. This was a clue that something very, very specific happened inside this rock a long time ago. And you can just feel the excitement from the science team. Dr. Morgan Cable over at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory said it perfectly. It was a whoa moment. This wasn't something they were expecting to find at all. It was a total surprise that just demanded a closer look.
All right, so with the clue identified, it was time for some serious forensic work. Perseverance got out its high-tech toolkit to figure out what in the world these spots are actually made of.
At the heart of this whole mystery is a chemical process called a redox reaction. Okay, don't let the name scare you. It's basically just a transfer of energy. The easiest way to think about it is like this. On Earth, tiny microbes can eat one chemical and breathe another to get energy. And when they do that, that process can leave behind very specific mineral fingerprints. And this is the crucial part. When Perseverance analyzed the mudstone from Cheyava Falls, it found all the ingredients needed for that exact kind of microbial meal. It found the food, which was organic carbon, it found the air to breathe in the form of rusty oxidized iron, and it found other key building blocks like phosphorus and sulfur. All of this in a spot that we know was once flowing with water. The whole recipe was there.
So you can start to picture a potential story unfolding here. Step 1, ancient microbes chow down on the organic carbon in the mud. Step 2, they use the oxidized iron all around them to breathe, which powers their little microbial engines. And step 3, as a waste product, they leave behind brand new minerals, the exact mineral fingerprints our detective rover was looking for.
And what did the analysis show? Well, it turns out those poppy seeds are full of a mineral called vivianite. And the leopard spots, they have both vivianite and another mineral called greigite. Now here's why that's so exciting. On Earth, both of these iron-rich minerals are often created by microbial activity in wet, organic environments. Finding them together like this, well, that's a huge clue that points to a complex chemical environment that life is really, really good at creating.
Okay, so this all sounds incredibly compelling, right? But in science, especially when you're talking about looking for life on other planets, evidence is not the same as proof.
I mean, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. We have to be super careful here.
So, does this mean we found Martians? Is it a slam dunk? The team behind this would be the very first people to tell you, no, not yet. This isn't a "we found it" moment, it's an incredibly exciting lead. But the whole point of the scientific process is to be skeptical and to test every other possibility before you even think about jumping to that conclusion.
So right now, we have two competing ideas on the table. One is that these spots are exactly what they look like, the leftovers from ancient microbes. The other possibility is that they were formed by just plain old chemistry, no life involved. Now, the interesting thing is, a lot of those non-biological explanations would require things like super high heat or really acidic conditions, and the rock doesn't show any signs of that. Still, you can't rule it out yet.
And this brings us to a really important term, potential biosignature. That's what scientists are officially calling this find. It's a sign that could be from life, but we haven't eliminated all the non-living possibilities yet. Think of it this way. It's a smoking gun, for sure, but it's not a confession.
So where does that leave our investigation? Well, to make sure nobody gets ahead of themselves, the scientific community actually has a formal grading system for these kinds of claims. And on that scale, this amazing discovery currently sits right here, at level 3. It's called the COLD scale, which stands for Confidence of Life Detection, and it's basically a 7-step ladder. Level 1 is just finding something interesting. Level 2 is making sure it's not something we accidentally brought from Earth. We're at level 3, which means we've shown the signal comes from a place that was habitable. That's a huge step. But the next one, level 4, that's the big hurdle. That means you have to rule out all known non-biological ways that signal could have been created, and that is an incredibly high bar.
So how do we clear that bar? How do we climb that ladder from level 3 and solve this case once and for all? Well, the answer, ironically, isn't on Mars anymore. It's right back here on Earth.
And here's the best part. Our detective was prepared. Perseverance successfully drilled a core sample right out of that Cheava Falls rock. This perfect little piece of evidence, which they've nicknamed Sapphire Canyon, is now sealed up in a sterile titanium tube, just waiting for its next big journey.
To really crack this case, we have to get that sample home. There's a mission in the works called Mars Sample Return designed to do exactly that. Because once we have it here, we can hit it with everything we've got in our most advanced labs. We can do tests that are just impossible for a rover, like isotopic analysis, which looks for these tiny chemical imbalances that are often a dead giveaway for life.
And that brings us right back to where we started. The clues are so tantalizing. The evidence has been collected, it's been sealed, and it's possible that inside that one little titanium tube, we might have the key to solving one of the greatest mysteries in human history. Were we ever alone? For that answer, we'll just have to wait for the sample.